Amid the rustic, bustling scene of downtown Kingston, where industry and commerce intersects with murals and creativity, we come to talk about technology and business and the way the two together help build better businesses. We're at the F&B Downtown Restaurant in the heart of Kingston's Art District, the place for food, beverage, world-class jewelry with some technology mixed in today.
Hello and welcome to Bounce by Info Exchange. This is where we talk about technology and business and how technology helps to make better business. With me is Undel Williams, CIO of Info Exchange, and the CEO himself, Mr. David Allen. I'm Kalando. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Morning. We're going to talk about IT resilience and business resilience today. IT resilience, business resilience, these are important things in business today. And I'm not going to say it wasn't always important. I'm sure some aspect of it was always important. But how is it that we're having so much conversation about these things today?
Business resilience? Well, first of all, let's just say what that is. Business resilience is the ability for a business to respond quickly to some disruption. And continue their business operations, thereby protecting their people, their processes, and their brand equity.
Right.
So you can see that the degree to where a business can recover or continue is a measure of how resilient that business is. Yes.
But how did we get here?
Well, what's happening is that the way businesses, customers, are requiring or demanding services or products from that business has changed. We call this the change in consumer behavior. And you've seen it. I mean, people want things now. You know, we're in the Amazon, I want it now life. So the degree in which a business can deliver that type of service on a 24/7, I want it now type of paradigm.
The always on paradigm.
Yes. Yeah.
And could we say that businesses were always resilient, meaning that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you were operating in a 9-to-5 world.
Right.
And in that 9-to-5 world, would you say that at that time, those businesses that could operate between 9 to 5 every day, every time that the customer wanted that service, would you say that they're resilient at that time?
At that time, yeah, because resilience really is a measure of the company's ability to adapt within their context of business operation.
Right.
That, I'm saying, has changed. So the means that you used in the past may not apply as efficiently as today.
Definitely. So you find instances where we have now moved into an era, the digital era, where customers expect 24/7, 365 type service. And because of that, we are seeing quite a bit of companies talk about digital transformation.
Right.
We now have to operate digitally right across the board.
Yeah, think about it.
Which means you have to have a digital business.
That's right.
Is that what it means?
That's correct.
Precisely, because, you know, in order for a business to be able to deliver a service at 3 a.m. In a different time zone to a customer, you have to have that business operating digitally.
Okay. Yes. So, and then consequently, you talk about things, we talked about Amazon earlier, that's e-commerce. You're looking at the impact of social media on businesses. What are some of those other challenges that, force the business operators to think about being always on? People are out, you talk about brand equity earlier, people can chat about your business anytime, people can recommend your business anytime, people are ordering stuff all the time. What do you need to stay up all the time?
Well, let's backtrack a little. When you talk about the actual need, the need is because you have new competitors coming into the space that are trying to, in our terms, trying to eat your lunch. and because of that, you find that businesses have to now think about, what do I need to do to operate even in the face of a negative event? In the face of a disruption, that disruption may be internal, external, how do I operate? And how do I continue to operate?
Okay.
How do I continue? That's an important point. How do I continue? Whereas in the past, a disruption, I would have enough time to recover.
Right, because if you close at 5 and then something happens, you have until 9 o'clock the next morning to fix it.
That's right.
And indeed, if I am delivering my good or my service physically, I even have more time.
Yes, because you can close, and you can also determine that time. You can close. You can put a little sign that says sorry, we're closed today.
Kalando, another thing, is the change in customer behavior.
Yes.
Customers won't wait anymore, and they will go to your competitor. There's no loyalty in that way.
And I think that is what is driving this new age of digital transformation, digital business, and of course, what we're talking about, business resilience, IT resilience.
It's an important point that Undel just made. The customer behavior is driving digital transformation.
Okay.
That now is putting a different demand on your business.
Okay.
In how you can now respond to a disruption. And I guess we'll talk about that.
Yes, and we're specifically saying things like IT resiliency, but we're talking generally about a resilient business. So let's separate them out. What is IT resilience versus the resilient business?
The IT resilience actually deals with the technology systems and their ability to continue to operate even when faced with a disaster. And that disaster may be planned, may be unplanned, it may be human related, it may be an act of God. It may be internal or external.
Right. So think about this now. If the change in customer behavior is driving this digital transformation, my operations now have to be able to deliver my service digitally, which means I'm more and more reliant on what my IT infrastructure
can do. All right. And earlier on, then you talked about being able to people having access to the service at all time, and we're talking about different types of people, because if you're always on, your suppliers can always get to you, the customers, your stakeholders, regulators are always watching if you are that type of business, and so having all the systems up that everybody can access it is part of how you have that infrastructure that makes you resilient.
Right. So what you're alluding to is what I just said. You are more and more reliant and dependent on your IT infrastructure in order to deliver your service. And without that, if there's a disruption in my ability to either access my system, or there's some external thing that has occurred, right, that prevents that, or some internal thing that has occurred that prevents that, then I have a disruption. And because I'm so reliant on these systems, it disrupts not only just the systems internally, it is disrupting my business operation.
And let us talk about it. Let us break it down. If you have an employee today, and you're doing payroll, for example, and you have 500 employees, is it possible for them to do it manually today? I say no. Even if you have 100 employees, I don't think it is possible to do it manually. So therefore, here comes your payroll manager, your payroll supervisor, or your payroll clerk, and they want to actually process payroll on the 25th. On the morning of the 25th, when processing is supposed to happen, their machine goes down. Not even the systems go down, but their end machine goes down.
This is like the hardware.
That is the hardware, meaning their laptops, their PCs, their computers go down. They now don't have access to that system. The system is up, but they're down. Or vice versa. The payroll system somehow gets corrupted. Therefore, they have access to the system, but the system is down. So whichever way you want to look at it, you have a disruption. That disruption could be even as simple as a power cut. That day, they had a power cut, and therefore you didn't have a backup generator, and you're down.
So, look, business owners have to ask the question, what impact will this have on me?
Yeah.
I can't do payroll, and I have 500 guys with cutlasses outside the fence wanting their pay. What then?
What do you
do? So, one has to look at this as home, where's my risk?
Yes.
So you look at your core systems and where are the biggest risk systems that must remain up.
And then you plan for that. But you're almost suggesting to me that this is a system where nothing will go down. And no downtime is what? Is that what you're saying?
The holy grail
Yes.
for all business is zero data loss, zero downtime. And zero downtime doesn't mean just system downtime, but that means that always on, always having access to that system.
But you see, I'm saying,
But you're speaking now and saying, okay,
there's a problem with that. People are going to be
that's a holy
skeptical.
grail.
Yeah.
That's a holy grail.
Okay.
Now, in reality, can it happen? Yes. You can strive to approximate, I would say, near zero data loss, near zero downtime.
Because that example you gave with the machine being down,
Yes.
the system is still up, the machine is down.
That's right.
I mean, how do you even plan for that? Machines do go down. I mean, they're man-made things.
But there are actually means and ways to actually have alternatives just in case machines go down. So therefore, what we are saying, if you fail to plan, you definitely plan to fail.
Right. You know, and it's not one pill, you know.
Yes.
There are a number of layers that need to be implemented and work together.
Give us a sense of some of those layers and how they work together from the IT infrastructure side.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is you have to have your standards and procedures in place. Yeah. Two, in terms of how people work, I think back in the day, work is something that you went to. Today, work is something that you
Goes
do.
with you.
Right. Yep.
Right? And well, it actually travels with
Right,
you.
yes.
So if businesses start to think of that differently, or think of it in that way, then you find that how you organize your business becomes much different.
Say that again. So work used to be where you go. Now
Yes.
work is what you do. So
Right.
you're doing work all the time.
Well,
our lives today.
Our lives are consumed by it, but I
And then
think
work comes with you.
yes,
It
but
shows a change.
It shows a
change. And that's part of this transformation we're going through.
So in that case, you're talking about, for example, an IT infrastructure that needs to be able to manage in a world of bring your own device, manage
Yes.
in a world of having many devices to access a system. So you're looking at different types of security
Right.
procedures.
remote work,
Yes.
meaning that you have to be able to work even if you can't get into the office.
Right. Okay.
Right. One of the other things that we need to talk about as well is that business resilience, as David said, is actually many layers. And one of those layers is security. Security of your data, security of your people, and of course, security of your trademarks and secrets and everything like that. That makes your business a whole. And the other piece is your IT operations. How do you get your IT operations to be always on, just in case there's an issue? And there will be an issue.
Yes.
So I don't think any business on this earth would say, guess what? I will never lose data. I will never have downtime. But the crux of the matter is, how do you minimize those instances?
But you can minimize those instances with what we are all aware of, backup. Are you then saying backup is no longer in play?
Remember, times again have changed. Backup is always and will always be a core part of resilience. Now, back in the day, keep using that term as you bring it up.
Yes.
Back in the day, a backup would have been fine. And what is a backup? Backup is a copy of my data as at a point in time. Great. It means that if there's a disruption or some crash or some corruption, whatever, the operator has to go find the backup and do a restore. Write that copy back onto the system. So that takes time. Whereas back in the day, you had that time, you had that luxury in the old 9 to 5 physical world. What we're saying is that is no longer the case. Because the time that you are doing your restore is the time that you're not operational. Yes, you're going to have
losing money.
And you can that's a straight, easy calculation to see how much money have I lost. And what happens is many organizations are not looking at that. They sort of think about it, but you need to really sit down and say, what if I gave all of my staff a holiday today and maybe most of tomorrow as well? Straight multiply it out. And not only that, how are my competitors going to capitalize on my misfortune?
Basically, what's the opportunity? Cost. Yeah.
Right. That part's a little harder to work out, but it can be. And all of this has to be factored in.
The cost of downtime.
Right.
In the design.
Right.
In the design of stuff.
And then from management is that how am I going to mitigate that risk?
It's all about risk. And I think too many times you have the C-suite, the board level, and of course business owners. They think of technology as something that is out there. That's not my domain. But it is so important for them to consider technology because one, technology drives businesses today.
Right.
And the other part of it is risk. What if I don't adopt this technology? What am I missing? What is going to happen to my business in the next few years if I don't adopt technology to my business benefits?
Kalando, I don't want the members of the C-suite to think that they have to go out there and go read a bunch of 60-page, 100-page manuals. Right. No. What is necessary is for you to ask some questions and to understand that the person, that IT person that you have given the job to make sure my business continues through a disruption. If he fails, he can find another job, most likely.
You may not be able to have another business.
You, however, as an owner,
that's right,
may need to find another business. You want to run that risk.
Give me like 3 questions that they need to be asking. Can you think of?
Well, the thing is you start with the what if problem. What if? You start with a business, some type of impact analysis, really.
That's right.
What are my most critical jewels that need to be protected, and what are the applications that use those jewels that essentially is my business?
Okay.
And who are the people that use those applications?
Right.
So you're actually doing a business impact analysis and looking at what is core to my business. What is it that I need to have running continuously?
People, the process, and the technology.
Yes.
And speaking of that, so we were talking before about this experience you had with this pizza, and I wanted you to use that.
We're talking offline about that.
What kind of questions would that owner of that pizza place, it's up to you if you want to call it the name. What kind of questions should that person now be asking, or what kind of answers should he be looking for? But tell us repeat what you said about the
you're ordering a pizza,
right?
And
you actually went to order the pizza.
I was trying to order the pizza, and what happened was that in calling the telephone line, I found that it rang, and of course it answered, which is the automated
right.
Yes,
technology
at work. Yes. And then you says, if you want this area, press 1. Okay. You want this store, press 2.
Okay.
Good. Press for the nearest store. Then I said hello, nothing on the other end, and did that for about half an hour. Until
you're very committed to this pizza.
Oh yeah, man. Wanted pizza.
Yes.
But in the end, what happened was that we had to drive to the place, and with that decision, it was I should just call a competitor.
Yes.
I mean, why not? And it was just because the person that we're ordering for wanted a particular pizza,
right.
And that's the only reason why that business got that sale on that day. So we drove there, and of course, on reaching there, the explanation that was given was that the provider was down. The actual telephone provider was down, and they have been trying to fix it for how long, and they can't. But as a business, that is part of your technology that is now down, that is may cause you to actually lose business.
Right.
So you have to be very careful as a business owner, as an executive, that you're looking at not only the things that you provide, but the things that are provided to supplement or support your business.
Right, because I mean, in another situation, okay, fine, food, people tend to be a little bit, they favor certain things,
Yes.
so people are not as agnostic as we'd like. But if that were the case, that business would not get your money that day.
That's right.
That's right.
But no, but can you imagine how many other people were calling?
Yes.
Yeah.
But look at let's look at that. This place, they have all of their IT systems up and running. Their staff have everything running perfectly. But a component of that entire system, which is, procured through a third party, isn't working.
Not working. So they're not making money or losing.
Or losing.
Not making as much.
Not making as much.
Right. Frustrating the customer.
Frustrating the customer, like you use that word, because that brings in up.
So the question is how do, from the business perspective, how do I make this whole thing resilient? What do I have to do to bolster that up?
That would be a reasonable question, given that, as you said, that person is getting that service from a third party provider, in terms of the ability to get the orders. And they now have to assess that to say, okay, how do I prevent this from happening? Because I don't even know how much business I lost.
That's right, you don't. And that is why we say you have business resilience and then you have IT resilience
inside
as a core of business resilience.
And then, so we started talking earlier about some of the other things.
Yes.
You mentioned some, but then we went back. So we talked about processes.
Yes.
These are some of the other things because IT resilience is part of business resilience.
Communications would be the next.
Right. Yeah. Process and standards. Organizing the human component.
Yes.
Because you have to have people trained.
Definitely.
Right.
And they need to know how to act in the event that you have a situation.
Right. Yes. That's very important. Very, very important. Business continuity management.
That's right.
What does that sound like? Some big words.
But I mean, the thing is, you do not want to be having to kind of figure it out during a disaster, right? You would want the processes that you have articulated beforehand to just be able to kick in.
Incident management.
That's right.
No, I do. I remember being in one job a few years ago where I was part of an incident management team. It was a telco. And I was part of that incident management team. And so I'm seeing now what you're talking about as far as what used to happen is, and I was leading the communication on that. So once something happened on the system, then a process is triggered where we all get on a call. And there's an assessment. The technology people or anybody that deals with the platform will tell us what's the problem, where it's affecting, because it was a telco that spread across the region. And then we now had to determine what channels we were going to use to communicate, who is being impacted, can we reach them, etc. All these things. A whole incident management process and an entire team had been dedicated to deal with these kinds of things.
So those are
some normal part of the business.
So those are some of the things that a business has to definitely think about in being resilient.
Right.
Yeah. And then, just to speed that up, we used to be able to, for each incident, we would then capture perhaps what was communicated, and then we'll store that. So that if we have a similar incident somewhere else, we just
you can learn from it.
And it can learn the whole thing faster.
That's right. You can learn from it.
That's the process of learning, right? So you get better with that.
Risk management. You did talk about knowing those.
Right. So part of the whole thing is that you need to look at all of my operations and where are the critical areas that are most critical to the business operation. As well as those support areas that are critical to support the critical operation, are at risk, and define, how much risk do I assign to this particular component? And with that, we then look at how am I going to make this particular component more resilient.
And if a business actually approaches it in that way, then the C-suite and the owners, business owners, will find that, this whole thing about being kind of, if you want to use the word, afraid of technology, doesn't come into play, because what you're doing is protecting your business, and finding the best ways to do so may mean that you're employing some technology.
And, you don't need to necessarily try and boil the ocean all in one go, but you do need to get started.
Yeah.
And you need to start at the most high-risk areas and get those sorted, and then move on.
And it's always best to have people who can advise, people who can lay the table and say these are the things that you need to consider. And sometimes they just have business people in the room, but you need to have a technology person in the room, because that technology person will actually take something that you're looking at as a huge business problem and boil it down into a few technological solutions. So it is very important to have that conversation.
And that's what it's about, using the technology to solve business problems.
Right.
So my takeaway from this conversation is this whole zero downtime, zero data loss. It's possible.
Always on, always having access.
In this always on world,
Yes.
it's possible to have zero downtime,
You
zero
don't
data
have much.
loss.
You don't have much choice.
You don't have much choice. There's not much choice.
IT infrastructure, IT resilience that promotes business resilience. This is where we're going to wrap it, gentlemen. For now, thanks to David Allen, CEO of Info Exchange, and Undel Williams, CIO of Info Exchange. We're going to have more conversations about things like this, the way technology is used to solve problems. We want you to post your comments below and send us your information, send us questions and things that you want us to address. Follow us at Info Exchange on Twitter, Info Exchange JA on Instagram, and post your comments and send questions. Check out our website, infoexchangeja.com. Until next time, when we have another chance to bounce some more technology solving business problems discussions. We like that, bounce. This is Bounce by Info Exchange. I'm Kalando. Talk again soon.
Bounce by Info Exchange, where technology meets industry and commerce to build better businesses. Info Exchange are business technology consultants. Our offices are located in Kingston, Jamaica. Info Exchange, smart technology, better business.